I'm Nicole Eddy. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm 22 and a half, almost 23 years old. I'm currently a student in my final year of honours at a Brandon college in Cape Town. And on the sideline as a hobby, I run a blog called NicoleEddy.com. It's a travel and lifestyle blog. And I'm hoping to explore that further next year when I finish studying, and I'm aiming to travel and take everyone along with me via my blog, so that should be fun. I've always lived near the beach since I was little, or relatively close to the beach, and my brother and dad still surf. So they were pretty big influences within my surfing life. I almost didn't have a choice. I used to go to the beach and they would go into the water and I would be left on the beach, and I really dislike doing nothing. I can't just go to the beach and tan, I have to be doing something. And I was like, oh, you know what, I've got to try this. And I learned to my dad's old board. He used to call it Faith, and it had like masking tape on it and like wax stuffed into all the holes, and I'm pretty sure Faith was drowning every time I used to hop onto it. But that's the board I learned on. Yeah, and I basically taught myself. I just used to mess around in the surf, and yeah, it just grew from there, I guess. Firstly, I'm a very self-competitive person, and I think that's what definitely keeps me surfing the most. You know, it's worse when you get so amped for a surf, you're like, oh, it's gonna be the greatest surf, and you get out and you honestly have the crappiest surf ever known to mankind. And then it bums me out, but it like excites me at the same time, and it fuels me to try and do it right the next time. And then secondly, a huge reason is watching all of the girls on tour shred and see how far that the girls have really taken surfing, and to watch them push boundaries all the time is really phenomenal. Firstly, we have a vast array of waves. We've got, to my side, there's mostly beach breaks. We've got two oceans, the Indian Ocean and Atlantic Ocean on my side, which is the colder one, but the less sharky one. And Cape Town's not a particularly big place. Everything kind of happens around Table Mountain, and as soon as you branch out further, you kind of go out of Cape Town. So you could literally drive 2 hours either east or west of the coast, and especially west, you're in no man's land, and there's just left point breaks, and then you go right, and there's just, you know, right hand point breaks. So there's a lot of different waves within a really short distance, and a lot of different things to see, you know, different scenery on the east coast compared to the west coast. West coast is super desolate, east coast is nice and like foresty, and yeah, so that's cool. And we have good weather, so that's obviously a plus. Literally 100% of the time. Okay, maybe not 100%, like 95% of the time, except for my local break, I think about sharks. And it's not like something has happened to make me think that way. It's just, I don't know, maybe I've got a phobia of them, but I feel like everyone's got a phobia of sharks. I mean, who wouldn't? We even went for a pelagic shark dive last year. I went with my boyfriend, and I disliked every minute. Firstly, we went it was 80 k's out to sea, and I was pretty seasick by then. Jumped in the water with blue and mako sharks, pulled my wetsuit over my hands, was like pulling people in front of me to use them as human shields, and these guys were just like little puppies. But I don't know, maybe I should try it again to overcome my fear. Yeah, I don't like sharks that much. Not sharks itself, just I'm just always thinking about it. I did paddle over one once in Betty's Bay, and I literally walked on water. I actually paddled back out to sea because it was on a sandbank. There was a huge guy, it was about the size of my board, but he wasn't a great white, which is good. And then, unfortunately, last year I was witness to the aftermath of a great white shark attack at Muizenberg Beach. Luckily, the guy survived, thank goodness. But that was a really real moment for me. yeah, it kind of, it made me think about it a lot. It also put things into perspective of how little we are, you know, in comparison with nature and in the food chain. And I like that thought of being little, because I think so often humans think they're a lot bigger than what they are. And it's kind of, it brings you back down to earth, which is great. Not great for him, you know, obviously not, but it does make you think about things deeper. For a long time, female surfers were paid a lot less than male surfers on the world tour. And although the surfing standards were not the same, and never will be the same, I think that's what most people don't realise. Girls will never surf like guys, and guys will never surf like girls. And that's what I like to watch. I like to watch girl surfers surf, you know, I can relate to it. But yet the prize money was so vast between the two, and that really frustrated me. I actually read Corey Schumacher's, she wrote a blog post on the issue, and it just opened my eyes to the discrepancies within the female surf world. But since then, a lot has changed. The prize money has almost leveled, so there's nothing really to complain about anymore, you know. The only thing that I would love to see is female surfers surf places like Jeffreys Bay and surf the same spots as the men do on tour. You know, it would be so awesome to watch all of these girls surf Jeffreys Bay, just 7 hours up the coast, and for myself and my fellow other girl surfers from Cape Town and South Africa, watch them surf on our, you know, home wave. That would be really cool, yeah. I think the hard part is taking the plunge. So what I would do is I would book a lesson, just one lesson, doesn't matter, hour, 2 hours, and then thereafter hire a board. I think it's important to get the basics down. The reason why I would say do it that way instead of the way that I learned, which is literally just by messing around in the surf, is because I realized about 3 years ago I am indefinitely goofy footed. I snowboard goofy, I skateboard goofy, I wakeboard goofy. When I'm just chilling in the water and I pop my board under me, I stand goofy. And I'd love to know where I would be, or where my surfing would be, if I was goofy. So maybe I should try switch, I don't know. So yeah, that's why, and I always say to people, paddling is almost more important than trying to stand. It's almost the hard part. But once you got paddling down, then it makes your surfing so much easier. Yeah, I mean, the image of women surfing has changed a lot quickly. About 10 years ago, girl surfers weren't really, it didn't have that romantic notion of being a girl surfer. You know, it wasn't that attractive or appealing. Nowadays, so many girls in the water, and it's great to see. And I think the girls on tour lead in the way in terms of all of them are hotties with bodies. You know, they're all healthy looking, which is more important. And they're all fit, and they're all leading healthy lifestyles. And I think if you interlink the two by doing something you love, surfing, provided it's something healthy, you will tend to lead a healthy lifestyle in order to progress further. So I think a healthy example is being set for girls who want to learn to surf, or are hesitant about the image of female surfers. And also, I always maintain that do what you want to do, but don't do something just to be different or to step out of the box. You know, do it because you want to. And if you stay true to yourself and you don't try too hard to be different, and you just kind of stick to your own way, things will happen. And it doesn't matter what anyone thinks, seriously. We're all just tiny little ants with our tiny little problems in a huge world. So do it while you can, flip, you know? You don't want to be that granny lying in a deathbed writing top 10 things I wish I had done. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that gran. I don't want to be that gran. You know? I want to be that gran who's writing top 10 things that I did that you should do. I want to be the cool gran. As I said earlier, I'm pretty passionate about traveling. Traveling for me doesn't necessarily mean getting in a plane and hopping overseas. Traveling for me means exploring and having a sense of adventure. So whether it's a weekend away, like 2 hours down the road, that's traveling, you know, you're going somewhere. I think lots of people misinterpret the term. You don't have to go overseas to travel. So I would love to explore Africa more next year, particularly Southern Africa. And then obviously I want to go overseas. I want to travel places that I wouldn't necessarily get the opportunity to do. And write about it, which is another passion. I love writing. It's my creative outlet. I don't really consider myself as a creative person, but I guess that we all are creatives. I would want to try and change the youth's mentality of thinking that they can gain all of their life skills and friendships and knowledge from being online. Having first-hand experience with the internet, through YouTube comments on my boyfriend's channel and through Instagram and Twitter, it just, although it does a lot of positivity, it also breeds a whole lot more negativity. And the cyberbullying that goes on is crazy. That's enough to bring anyone down. Yeah, the only way you're going to learn things about life and the only way that you're going to expand yourself is to get out of your comfort zone, you know? Put down your computer, put down your cell phone and get outside. When we were little, we didn't have the internet or anything. We got told to go entertain ourselves outside and build things, which is what we did. So yeah, I just wish that kids would get out more and take up more healthy activities and hobbies, just not the internet.